I want to do a perception test with you. But let's first discuss the difference between perception and perspective. Two individuals can be observing the exact same reality and walk away with completely different conclusions. And it is not because one person is lying. It is because they are noticing different details. That is perception. And perception is what frames perspective. Now let's take that truth and scale it up to relationships, to men and women, and to entire societies. And let's start with men and women. Both men and women focus on different things. Not wrong, but different. One might focus on tone, the other focuses on logic. That's because our brains are wired differently. There are a plethora of peer-reviewed studies that show that women are more attentive to a baby crying. There is a chemical biological response to a baby crying. This is unrefuted science. Sometimes women will even start to lactate when their child is crying. And there are plenty of peer-reviewed studies that show that men have a stronger attentional bias to threatening stimuli. And there was a non-rigorous study that showed that women were more likely to wake up from babies crying and men were more likely to wake up from glass breaking. In 2025, they did another similar study trying to disprove this, but they put people in controlled settings, which alters how they respond. There is more data that shows that men and women respond differently than them responding the same. These differences in men and women allow us to complement each other harmoniously or collide catastrophically. Conflict happens when people aren't actively listening to understand the other person's perspective. And this is the part I don't hear anyone talking about. Division is profitable. The polarization and division keeps people emotional and reactive instead of reflective and rational. It keeps them arguing instead of understanding and growing. Conflict creates engagement, and engagement creates profit. And a lot of social media influencers are doing a big disservice to society. Short form media is the fastest way to brainwash people. Our youth is consuming this content. It is shaping their perspectives on life. And the people pushing this care more about lining their pockets than the future of our nation, which speaks volumes about their character. We can see how a clash of perspectives creates conflict. We see this in wars, we see this in families, and we see this in men versus women, the feminist movement versus the red pill manosphere. And both sides have very important concerns that are addressed, and they should not be ignored. But what both sides do is focus on what's best for them at the cost of the other sex. This perception test is evidence that two people looking at the exact same thing can get something different. Some people see circles, some people see squares, some people see both. But who's glorified in media? The people who only see circles or the people who only see squares? The people who see both and address both are ignored because accountability is a societal problem in the West. Both men and women choose comfort over accountability because accountability means there has to be change, and people don't want change, especially when it's them who has to change. Social media influencers highlight differences and amplify misunderstandings, and they learned it from the best. Look at 97% of news media outlets. And I pulled that number out my butt, so don't quote me on that. And the thing is this works on people because most people don't stop to think, well, maybe my perception is wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me listen to this person so I can fit all the puzzle pieces together and we can work on this together. There's a saying that everyone wants to be a chief, but no one wants to be an Indian. So many people are desperate to lead that they will cut off their nose to spite their face. They would rather be in front and on top, even if they're causing harm. You can't have great leaders without great supporters. Being a support is not a bad thing. Our society is so focused on individualism, self-glorification, and this is Luciferianism or Satanism, self-glorification. I'm going to share some scriptures that I absolutely love that shed light on what is happening. Do not quarrel over words. It only ruins who's listening. The first who speaks seems right until another comes to examine him. Be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to become angry. Being offended doesn't make you right. It just blinds you. When perception is narrowed, perspective becomes distorted. If you want the path of least resistance in life, in relationships, and communication, you have to be able to identify where the resistance is coming from. That resistance is the gap between what each person perceives. And that gap is where conflict lives, but where growth can begin. When we stop being disingenuous and competing with one another, and we actively listen, we can actually put the puzzle pieces together. We can create plans that are beneficial for everybody. Nobody has to lose. It's that fear of loss that causes people to compete, rather than humbly recognizing their strengths and weaknesses and working together to achieve the same goal. I think that that's what people truly want. But a lot of social media influencers are like the serpent in your ear. They know that they are incapable of union, so they want everyone else divided. I know that was a lot, so if you made it this far, you are an exceptional person. A lot of people just lack the attention span. But I'm putting the perception test at the end of this video. Please comment below if you saw squares or circles first, or both. And in the comments, I will post pictures of the squares highlighted and then the circles highlighted. And then I want you to go back and look at it and see if you can see both. And comment that as well. As always, God bless. Have a day you deserve.